all evidences point to a high-tech operation that is centrally controlled.
Tell me, in my long journalistic career, I haven't come across where a political party tries to investigate a case.
But what we showed today is that the outcome clearly shows it need not have followed the process.
Just rejecting it outright, I think it would leave a lot of suspicion in the mind of the electorate, and that's not good for the democracy.
At least in the North India, in Bihar, it shattered this myth that the BJP and Prime Minister Modi was winning elections because of some popularity.
Hello and welcome. I'm Srinivasan. This is Talking Sense with Srini. Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition, has dropped a bombshell accusing the election commission of poll rigging in Karnataka. He also slammed the chief election commissioner, Gyanesh Kumar, of protecting people who are destroying Indian democracy. However, the election commission had stated that the allegations were incorrect and baseless. Joining us to decode Rahul's barrage of allegations is our editor-in-chief, Srinivasan. We also have a very, very special guest today from the Congress party, is Mr. Praveen Chakravarthy. Thank you very much for taking your time out and to join us in the studio today. Let me begin with you there. Rahul Gandhi has alleged mass deletion of voters in Congress strongholds in Karnataka using fake logins and phone numbers from outside the state. How technically is this even possible?
If I have to start from the basics, for the process of deleting a voter is you go through a process called a Form 7 process, where somebody will fill in a Form 7 asking a particular person to be deleted for various reasons, or the person who would like to be deleted fills in the Form 7. And once this form is filled, and this form asks for certain details. If I am the applicant filling the form to delete your vote, then I give in my name, my mobile number, and my voter ID and my other details. And usually I'm in this where we are in the same constituency and usually in the same booth. So that the idea is, okay, I know something, maybe someone's passed or whatever the reason may be, and so that's why I am filing an application for your vote to be deleted. And I give the reason for this. So when I fill in this application, submit it online, the ideal process is an OTP is sent to my mobile number that I put in the form as a form of verification. And once I put in my OTP, the OTP is matched, and if it's verified, then the form is submitted, then goes to the BLO, the block level officer, who then goes and actually physically checks, or at least is supposed to physically check and verify whether the application for deletion is genuine or not, whether that person really needs to be deleted or not. And then the returning officer signs off on the form saying, yes, this voter can be deleted, and there is it is displayed in public for any objection. This is the process ideally. What Mr. Rahul Gandhi explained today is the case of Aland constituency, assembly constituency in Bihar parliament constituency in Karnataka. This was before the 2023 Karnataka state elections. In that assembly, there were nearly 6,000 applications were filed for deletion. And it so happened that one of the persons that were sought to be deleted happened to be the niece of the BLO. And the BLO went and asked the niece, do you want your vote to be deleted? And she said, no, not at all. Then she went and asked the person who had applied for the vote to be deleted, who happened to be in the same village. And that person who applied, whose name was being used, said, I never filled any form. And that is how this thing came to light. They immediately went to the candidate, the Congress party's candidate, B.R. Patil, who then started to ask around and realized there are 6,000 of these. Then they went and filed, he wrote a letter immediately to the election commission locally, And the returning officer was analyzed it and then quickly realized there is a big scam here. And what does the election commission's own returning officer do? She files an FIR immediately. So she followed the process. She followed the due process. She followed her responsibility to the court. This was 2023. After I've narrated the story, I'm sure all of you are wondering.
So I want to ask a question. From 2023, when did you decide to pick this up as an investigation, and how long you have worked on it?
Correct. So 2023, after the FIR was filed, the police started investigation. They hit a roadblock. It was transferred to the CID
Right.
of the Karnataka government. And the CID kept trying to investigate more and more. They kept asking for more details, such as the mobile numbers, such as technical details. They kept hitting a block. It was then transferred to the cybercrime division. And they wanted more details. The election commission thus far has refused to put. So this investigation has been ongoing for the last 2 years. 2 years. For the purposes of today's presentation by Mr. Gandhi, we took it up about 6 or 7 months ago, just when we were analyzing Maharashtra, Mahadevpura and others, because we knew that this was an ongoing case filed by one of our own candidates. And today's presentation is the result of 6 months of effort. Of course, there was a Hindu story on the same constituency about a couple of weeks back, but that just happened to come in the middle.
Yeah. So I again want to understand here. Let's go through this process once again. Suppose you are the applicant and you want to delete his name. So you have to fill in the form. You have to have a login. You have to have a password for your own login. You have to have your telephone number to receive an OTP, which will be confirming that in a way you are online transaction, you're doing it. And then when you apply for a deletion, the application of yours then goes to BLO. BLO physically comes to this place wherever the person is there, his address, physically verifies, file in their report on that, his report, BLO files a report, which is then, verified by this ELO.
ERO.
So he then verifies it, and then deletion happens, and then it is also publicized, by the way. That's what you told me earlier, that actually they put out open declaration that this person's name has been removed. Now tell me, when all these processes are there, how, for instance, 12 voters were deleted in 14 minutes. In another case today, Mr. Gandhi said 2 voters' names were deleted 4 a.m. in the morning in 36 seconds. How did that happen?
Exactly. So when the process for even filling a form, if you actually try and fill a form yourself, you'll realize it's not a form that you can fill in 30 seconds. You need to get your OTP and all of that, right? How did somebody file in applications to delete 12 or 14 voters in a matter of minutes? How were 2 voters being sought to delete at 4 in the morning? How were 2 applications filed in a matter of almost 30 seconds of each other? It only tells you very clearly. Anyone who's logically thinking about this, it tells you this is obviously done through some sort of a software program.
Let me again revisit this, because I think it's very important to understand the whole process. If it was truly your telephone, in a way it should have been cloned or taken over by somebody, because you yourself don't know. The applicant says, look, you actually produce the applicant. Correct. Applicant says, look, I don't know. I never applied for the other person's name to be deleted. So that telephone must be in a way cloned. The OTP will then only come to that number. Then the person should also be able to take over the other person's credentials. And then, the whole process of BLO going, I somewhere lose the way if I have to think this is how the pipeline works. Did the pipeline actually work the way you explained?
What about a Form 7? It needs to be filled, isn't it? So you
Was
mean
it
to say that
happened?
there is no physical, there's no Form 7 at all?
See, I will tell you, based on what we showed today, it is very clear that, Srini, all of what you said is if a certain process has to be followed. But what we showed today is that the outcome clearly shows it need not have followed the process that was laid out. Why do I say this? Let's take a simple example of the mobile number. There's a mobile number in the application form. I personally, I've looked at, there were 122 unique mobile numbers in all the 6,000 forms that I could gather. I'm sure there are more. None of these, first, belong to Karnataka. Second, most of them are from outside, like random states like Jharkhand, Gujarat. Third, one of them is actually from right here in Tamil Nadu, in Coimbatore. And guess what? We actually called the person. This person has had the same mobile number for the last 10, 12 years. And that person has no clue that his mobile number was being used. It only tells you neither was an OTP received, and those numbers that are being shown are just fictitious numbers. They just made up some numbers.
So again here, so everything is fictitious. The mobile number is correct, but the OTP person
Never
was
came,
supposed never
was
came.
not needed.
The application forms, like he's asking, online, even if that was, never filled.
Yes.
Because if that was, then there should be a trail.
Exactly.
At least in the servers of EC.
Absolutely. The IP address and
IP address and everything. So that is not known. So this whole thing becomes, is it all just in the cloud? We don't know where it has. I mean, you have worked on for 6 months. Some of these questions might have come to your mind and the group's mind. What is that they were thinking then? How did you detect that where is the whole thing leading to?
See, if I have to tell you everything that we know very, very clearly, but don't have proof of, then I can tell you. But like Mr. Gandhi said in his press conference today, I represent a national party and we have some responsibility. So we have to say whatever we say with responsibility. So all I can say at this point in time is it is quite clear. The evidence is quite overwhelming that the process was completely bypassed, and it was also done in a bulk manner, which is only possible through a centralized software computer type operation. And that is why all the others are just almost smoke screens, the mobile numbers and the forms and the name of the applicant and all of those things. The simple truth was this: of the 6,000, a large number of them came from 10 booths, of which the Congress party won 8 in 2018 election, even though we lost the overall election, which means these were strong booths for the Congress party. It's very, very clear that there was a targeted operation of removing Congress party voters.
Yeah, I
from
think
a
you
centralized
lost in
operation.
2018 by 697 votes, and you won it back in 2023 by 10,348 votes. This is when the whole process could not take place the way perhaps, I mean, is that your...
Exactly. Had the
case?
6,000 deletions gone through, this candidate would have lost the election. Our candidate would have lost the election. He just happens to catch it, almost coincidentally, almost serendipitously. And that is, and what Mr. Gandhi was trying to point out is, we don't know how many actually got deleted in how many other constituencies and where and all these other things. We happen to catch it and go through the full details. And we were able to show today that it is very, very clear that there is some systemic, high-tech, centralized operation behind this.
So, sir, I want to ask you this. The Congress has been coming out with a lot of allegations. While this is fairly new, but we've seen it in the past, like Cambridge Analytica, for example. And we also had the Pegasus software. What was called as the Snoop Gate, and SIR and EVMs, and now this is Pollgate, if you could term it. So, but how do you see it sort of play out politically?
Well, I think everybody has been talking about it. Is it political, how it has to be taken up politically. The Congress party is on it. But one thing I would like to tell me in my long journalistic career, I haven't come across where a political party tries to investigate a case. See, largely what they do is they just hurl accusations.
That's right,
You have to take any case, even if you take Boffa's case. It was journalists who were investigating. And even journalists were only, presenting before the public a certain evidence which they seem to think is happening. But the ultimate objective of all those exercise or whatever was being said, it was in the form of only allegations largely. It was for the investigative agencies to pick up those allegations and then look into those charges, the merits of those charges, and then further look into each and every case. That is how almost all the other cases which I have seen in the past have unfolded. And like I said earlier, I've never seen a political party trying to do this job where they come out with evidence, hold a press conference and say, look, these are the things we have found. But that's very, very unusual. What is also I find very unusual is a complete stonewalling here. In a way, the Election Commission could have at least said that, okay, if these are the allegations you're making, prima facie, even if they say that, look, it's impossible, because it looks very improbable that, something could have happened like this. If they say that, they could at least say that, okay, let us investigate. Let us look into that. I think that is one crucial point which could play out either way. Since you asked me a question how politically it could be taken, it is on Congress party and other political parties to take it up further. How they manage to translate or how they explain this issue to the public is a big question. So at least I think in the case of Bihar, they're trying it by coining the phrase vote-chori, which is a popular term and could, their attempt is, especially Tejasvi and Rahul during this rally, I think that is what they tried.
Yeah.
To how much, impact it has among the people, we'll see after the results.
No, I think he was there on the ground, so I'm sure he must be able to answer that question. How do you see that people are responding to these kind of allegations?
See, I think before I answer that, I want to substantiate what Srini was saying, which is there have been 18 letters written by the Election Commission's own Karnataka officer. The Chief Electoral Officer of Karnataka writes to the Chief Election Commissioner in Delhi. And then the Karnataka government CID writes letters. It's not a political party that's writing letters. And if, like I said, if there was nothing wrong, or even what is stopping the Central Election Commission from responding? Why are they stalling it for 2 years? And this really is the crux of the question. Because today we saw 2 citizens of India from a village stand up in front of the whole country in the media and said, my name was used, I did not know about it. My name was sought to be deleted, I did not know about it. Does the Election Commission not have a responsibility to answer at least those 2 citizens of India? Why has this not been done for 2 years? I think this is where, if you look at CSDS poll, for example, and it shows clearly that there is a significant drop in the public trust in elections and Election Commission of India. And it is precisely because of reasons like this. Our job, and as Srini said rightly, we are a political party. We are neither private detective agencies, nor are we journalists. And we're spending all our time, and no less than the leader of the opposition is making a PowerPoint presentation to expose this. This should be done on its own. The institutions of this country should be working. The media, the judiciary, the Election Commission, all the bureaucracy, all of these. It's not working. And that's why we have had to do this. And as far as the public resonance with this is concerned, I can tell you one thing. Literally every village at least in most parts of the country, people in every village have heard and know that there is something wrong with the way votes are being, with the way elections are being conducted. This does 2 things. One, politically. One, at least in the North India, in Bihar, it shattered this myth that the BJP and Prime Minister Modi was winning elections because of some popularity. Now people are saying, oh, it's not that. It's something else. Second, of course, it leads to a much larger erosion of trust. But I have personally heard people connect how, oh, this is why, whatever may be the issues, COVID deaths, demonetization, or joblessness, it's not connected to electoral outcomes anymore. So that link between issues and electoral outcomes is broken, is what people in Bihar I saw register.
Yeah, so this, you're now talking more politics. Let me take you back to this question. 2 points here. One is, can you explain, Rahul Gandhi today only briefly mentioned Rajura constituency. What happened exactly in that? How did that play out? And the second question is that this entire investigation which you have done, is it only now you have attempted in Karnataka? Have you also attempting in any other place? Are you trying to, or are planning to widen this ambit, or it just is there more to this? I'm not even talking about the hydrogen bomb.
So I'll answer the second question. There are many, many more investigations that are ongoing right now. Like I said, when we talked about Mahadevpura, we were already researching Rajura and Aland and others. So there are others that are going on. I'm not at liberty to say more on that. But I do want to say that it is not the responsibility of a political party to be doing this. We wish the others in this country take this up more seriously, put pressure. But we will take this to the public, and it's ultimately through public pressure that it'll get. As far as Rajora is concerned, the case of Rajora Assembly constituency in Maharashtra, it's very simple. The Congress alliance won or got a lead in this assembly segment in the Lok Sabha election of nearly 70,000 or more. 5 months later, the Congress party lost the seat by 3,000 votes. We know through Form 6 analysis that there were at least 6,000 fake voters that were added and whose votes were cast, because we've got our agent's ballot slip. And we don't know who these voters are, where they came from, how did they vote, what happened there. And that turned the election completely. So, which is why the modus operandi is exactly the same, whether it is a Form 7 or for a Form 6. So, elections in India are at 6s and 7s right now.
Okay. Just one more question. See, there are 3 issues which Mr. Gandhi said in his press conference, which is the question which CID is asking the EC, and they haven't got the answer. Which is the IP address? Perhaps they want to know the geographical location, the trail of OTP, and the third is, which is the destination server. Can you connect these 3, and what is the idea these 3 questions have been asked? What is it?
See, Srini, I think all of us want to know, who are these people who file these forms? Isn't it? I mean, who are these people? Where are they from? Where do they? To be able to trace that, we need a certain set of information. Not we, the CID needs a certain set of information. And that information is available with the Election Commission of India, because this form was filled or submitted online, presumably, because that's how we've got the details of what day or when it was submitted, the time and all that. So which IP address was used to submit these? What was the MAC ID that was used? The computer. Simply because we need to be able to find out who these people are, and should we not investigate and bring them to book or not. As simple as that. These details are there with the Election Commission of India. It absolutely does not take 2 years to give this data out. So it's a bit baffling, to say the least.
So if whatever you're saying is true, that there should be some kind of infrastructure within the Election Commission of India which must have prompted them that there's something that's wrong in the system, isn't it?
something must have been wrong within the system.
That's right. So if there are mass deletion that's happening within every whatever second that you were talking about, I'm sure it must have alerted the Election Commission of India as well.
I think
Clearly
let
that-
me clarify what he's saying. Perhaps that's what he's trying to say. That whenever an unusual activity happens in any part of the server, they have a certain load balance. They know certainly there is certain changes which are happening. They should have been immediately able to sense and then highlight that. That's the
Sort of
question,
a
I
security
think.
threat or
Yes.
something. Yeah.
You would think so. You would hope so as a citizen of India, right? These are basic things. But don't forget, it is the same election commission that issued the same voter ID number to two different people. Have you ever heard of a vehicle, two vehicles having the same registration number ever in this country? It's something as basic. Anyone who manages databases will tell you, you can't have two same unique numbers.
Can't it be a bureaucratic error? Such errors can happen.
No, are they issuing voter ID numbers manually on paper? They're not. So when election commission systems are so bad, and in
No,
Mahadev-
I remember, for instance, that PAN cards were issued. So there were a number of people who got two PAN cards. Then they were asked to surrender.
no, people getting multiple PAN cards is different. Nobody ever got the two PAN cards with the same number, with the same PAN number. Exactly. It has never happened. Voter ID is the only one that has happened. And that is how bad. So that is why it tells me that these are not just errors of omission. It's absolutely clear to me. I mean, you're absolutely right, it should have been flagged. But let me ask you another simple question. In Mahadevpura, when we did the previous press conference, we showed people with the same photograph, right? Wouldn't you have thought that an election commission's voter database would have immediately picked up two similar photographs? Isn't that basic check? Then how did that happen? Are these seriously errors of omission? We as a country can go to the moon, can put people on the moon, we can have Mars missions. We can't have two photographs being matched in an election commission voter database?
Okay, so let me ask you there a bit straight question there. So, you accuse the Bharatiya Janata Party of sort of, buying the Pegasus software, snooping into people's account, including Mr. Rahul Gandhi, right? Mr. Gandhi also said it in a press conference, and it was created an uproar in the parliament. Are you now saying that the election commission, because you said largely these are programmatic, it's got into some kind of a software sort of an agreement, and is now sort of, doing all this? What's called a poll gate, maybe?
All fingers point to that. All evidences point to a high-tech operation that is centrally controlled.
And the EC is doing it for the BJP to win, is what you're saying.
I don't know of any other reason why they would target Congress voters in a bipolar contest and seek to delete them in one state, and we will show more and more and more as in the coming months.
Are you noticing all this only in bipolar contest? What happens in multipolar contest?
Well, my interest is to focus on seats that the Congress contests. I wish other opposition parties of the India bloc also do this, but we are focused on the Congress.
This is just a question that popped up on my mind. Do you also see some kind of a connection between what's happening here in Mahadevpura and Aland and something what's happening in Bihar as well as because you've been raised a lot of concerns over the especially intensive revisions.
See, the SIR, the
Election Commission says the SIR is a move to sort of clean up the system.
Okay, let's look at the factual chronology of SIR. The Chief Election Commissioner, the new Chief Election Commissioner is appointed soon after the elections of Parliament. The process, as suggested by the Supreme Court, to choose the new Chief Election Commissioner was a panel that comprises of the Prime Minister of India, the Chief Justice of India, and the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha. The government of India very quickly passes a law that changes the constitution of that panel, removes the Chief Justice of India, and says The third person will be a minister chosen by the prime minister. So, and then comes the appointment process for the new chief election commissioner. The meeting happens. I remember I was in Delhi with Mr. Gandhi when he was going for this meeting. When he went there, of course, lo and behold, who was the minister chosen by the prime minister as the third person? Mr. Amit Shah, the home minister. They pick this new chief election commissioner, Gyanesh Kumar. He takes charge on February 19th. Okay? We have already exposed Maharashtra by then. Mr. Gandhi had already done press conferences about Maharashtra voter lists. Suddenly announces a systematic, intensive revision of Bihar polls few months before. What does this chronology tell you? Is this, I mean, if all one has to do is to read through this and say, clearly they want to whitewash the voter lists, starting in Bihar and in the rest of the country. And that is why it was announced so hurriedly. SIR, if it was genuinely for clean voter rolls, it would have been done a year or two before the elections, not a few months before. And that is why this whole thing reeks of suspicion.
Rahul Gandhi claims certain communities, mainly opposition voters, were targeted. How would such alleged, sort of targeting influence electoral outcomes? And what's the strategy, party strategy?
So if we have to take Aland as an example, right? If, say, 3,000 Congress voters in those 10 booths had been deleted, the election would have swung against us. 3,000, it's a 6,000 shift. Election would have swung against us. And this is what most people miss. Most people think, to manipulate India's elections, you need to have millions and millions of voters across different constituencies to be, and no, you can be very targeted. What did we show in Mahadevpura? In Mahadevpura, parliament constituencies, out of the 8 assembly constituencies, in the 7 assembly constituencies combined, the Congress has a lead of 70,000 votes. In one Mahadevpura, the BJP wins by 1 lakh votes, and hence they win the whole parliament by 30,000 votes. How do they do that? Out of 6 lakh voters, 1 lakh are dubious. So it just took one assembly constituency to switch an entire parliament. So it absolutely can be, or electoral outcomes can be swung. I think Mr. Gandhi is on record now saying that he believes 80 such seats in the parliament elections of 2024 were manipulated and swung. And that is why the government is in government today and Mr. Modi is on his 3rd term.
Okay, one last question there. So I want to ask Sir about this. Rahul Gandhi has accused the this seems in a way legitimate. Rahul Gandhi has accused the chief election commissioner and the election commission of protecting those responsible. So, how do public accusations affect the independence and the very idea of being the umpire of the great Indian elections, the election commission, both legally and politically as well? What do you think the election commission got to be doing right now?
See, the election commission is the custodian of electoral roll. And also it is responsible for conducting elections, free and fair elections. That is a primary job. And it's a constitutionally mandated task, which is expected as being one of the prime institutions of India. And since we are a democracy, that they do this task honorably and reasonably and to the satisfaction of all. When fingers are pointed out against the election commission itself, and that's what is happening. This is basically a fight between Congress party and election commission, not other political parties. I think even BJP shouldn't be there, ideally. I mean, of course, they are reacting to that.
If I can just add there, in the presentation made today, 19 slides, 3,406 words, the word BJP was never used. Never used. So I don't understand why the BJP is responding to this.
So the thing here is that so much of responsibility is, vested on election commission, and the expectation that if even, some finger pointing happens, they should come out clean and order a probe and explain their position. And election commission should not be, the way they are responding is not the way I think the institution has responded in the past. They should examine these allegations, and if Congress party is actually wrong about it, if in election commission's outlook it is, as they expressed today, baseless and incorrect, then they should prove it, saying that it is actually baseless, it's incorrect, and the Congress party has messed up, and they have just made a political, trying to frame us politically, and they should come out and say this. I think just making this statement or just rejecting it outright, I think it would leave a lot of suspicion in the mind of the electorate, and that's not good for the democracy.
Okay. So I want to wrap this up with Praveen with one last question, a political question there. One, you said, you talked about the people in public are getting to know about the Prime Minister's popularity, and that's not the factor why the BJP is winning and all that. I want to quote the Mood of the Nation survey of the India Today group last month, August. So, and the Prime Minister's popularity is still so high. The approval ratings are so high. In Bihar, close to 60% of the people are in support of the SIR. So how do you respond to this? Because do you think that these issues actually matter to the people? Do they understand all this? And it would eventually sort of be some kind of a strategy that will support the Congress party, earn rich dividends for the party in elections?
The Mood of the Nation poll is absolutely the biggest sham of a poll in this country. It is not scientific. The sampling is horrible, and I have proved this with the people who have done the poll. CSDS or other polls, yes, I will absolutely take those polls more seriously. Having said all that, if your larger point is Mr. Modi the most popular political figure in the country today? Yes. Okay. Is Mr. Modi's popularity so large that he can just win elections after elections, even though he may kind of ride roughshod over everything? Not really. So there's a difference there.
Right. Can I ask one last question?
Sure.
If you allow me.
Yeah.
Can you really tell us what is this hydrogen bomb all about?
Oh, wait and watch.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Pleasure talking to both of you. Thank you.